What is the best game in Fortnite's history? If you're a new age competitive fan, you might be inclined to pick one of the options from Peterbot's legendary 2024 run. You might go back a couple of years and pick the legendary Queasy Veno Cammy and Seti game.
Double shield going out. He's trying to bait it. He's trying to bait the revive so that way Cammy might peek. Breaks through the wall. Shot's gonna be fired! And they do it! Become legends are on top! Become legends!
You might try to call yourself an OG, go all the way back to 2018, and choose Cloakzy's Clutch to close out the win in Friday Fortnite.
Got one. Got two. Got them all! Got them all! Let's go, dude! Oh my god! Did we win? Did we win? Holy shit!
However, in my humble opinion, when it comes to choosing the best game in Fortnite's history, there really is only one option. Come on, y'all clicked on the video, you saw the thumbnail, we all know I'm talking about Bugha's Game 1 from the World Cup. But before we get into it, I'm going to do the cringe thing and do what every YouTuber asks, and that is that you like the video if you enjoy the content and subscribe for future content just like it. It would also be amazing if you use code ManyChong in a Fortnite item shop, as we are running money customs 3 nights a week over on my Twitch, and so it would do wonders to be able to fund those for the future. If you're an aspiring Fortnite pro looking to pick up a little bit of earnings, make sure to tune in for my live streams. But without further ado, let's get into why Game 1 from the World Cup is the best game in Fortnite's history. Fortnite is a game that has stamped its place on the timeline of history due to legendary moments. Therefore, for a game to be the best game of all time, it's going to have legendary moments. Bugha gave us plenty. Stakes also matter. What higher stakes other than the winner becoming an instant millionaire? However, for a game to surpass all of the other legendary games in Fortnite's history, it's got to be storybook. Therefore, circumstances matter. So let's delve into the circumstances that surrounded Game 1, even before we got into it. For starters, Bugha was not exactly what you would call an experienced esports player. Far from it, actually. Not only was this tournament his first LAN tournament, but he had only just recently been able to compete in tournaments in general due to Epic lowering the age requirement a few months before World Cup. And unlike young, inexperienced pros like Clix, Dubs, Mega, the EU pros, Mongrel, Benji, Savage, Bugha had pretty much flown completely under the radar, therefore cementing himself as a true underdog heading into this tournament. Now, you might look at me and say, ManyChong, that's stupid. That's irrelevant. Who even are you? Those are all fair questions, but let me present to you my argument as to why this matters. For example, if you're respected and known in the community, you get your first chance of a drop spot. Take, for example, the most recent global championship with Peterbot and Poyo. They not only got the best spot with the best mythic, they also got their choice of a forecast tower, and they were also able to secure many times the floating island with all of that extra loot. This because they were so feared and respected in the community, and that put them in a choice position to take the tournament, which they did. Bugha had none of this. Therefore, heading into the weekend of the tournament, he had no idea where he was going to land. But through scrims and practice, he decided on Old Faithful. Lucky landing. Now, as we drop into Game 1, you wouldn't be mistaken in believing that there took some luck for this legendary game to transpire. As Fortnite is a game that has RNG surrounding much of its gameplay, you would be correct. However, off spawn, this game appeared to be devoid of any good luck. For starters, Bugha was not unconned. Snazy was also landing here. They were splitting this drop with Snazy landing on the north side and Bugha landing on the south side. And while I believe Bugha had the better half and the best building, he walked out of that main building with a gray suppressed submachine gun and a gray drum shotgun, only having found minis. Wait, Bugha won this game? How the frick? Approaching the second building, however, he would have his first stroke of good luck, looting a chest and finding his win condition, a purple heavy sniper. Bugha, knowing he has found his win condition, and knowing they are in the southernmost drop of the map and the zone is pulling center map, he would look to get his mat count up and begin to rotate out. However, Snazy had other plans. Snazy decides to push Bugha, probably thinking this is the smartest play for the future games in the tournament, hoping that if he pushes Bugha in Game 1, it might scare him off from the drop, or at least secure enough loot for Snazy in the future games. Bugha, realizing that he's not exactly poised in his loadout for a fair 1v1, and also that the zone is pushing in, decides to hunker down and play time. Snazy wasted a couple of utility items, firing off a couple shots from his proximity launcher and throwing a couple stinks, eventually sees zone closing in and decides to rotate out. It was upon this rotation that Bugha has the first chance to take the game in his own hands and take a shot. but he missed. So here he is. After finding a slurp juice on the way out of Lucky Landing, he's 100, 50 builds, a purple heavy sniper, and a dream. After taking some time to farm up a bit, he uses the slipstreams to rotate into zone. Upon boxing up in zone, another obstacle presents itself, Storm Surge. So now, not only did Booga need a refresh as he only had 48 builds and basically no ammo, he also needed surge tags. At this point in the game, another window of opportunity would present itself to Booga, and this time, he wouldn't miss. With one single body shot from the heavy sniper, he put himself well above the surge tag threshold. However, after tunnel visioning for a bit, he realizes that this player had been box fighting another player, and he had already secured the loot that Booga supplied for him. However, Booga's impatience would get the best of him. Noticing that the player had missed a launch pad from his eliminations loot, he decides to push over and fight for it. But this was to no avail. He was not able to secure the launch pad or any extra material, so he only found himself more in shambles with only 29 builds. As zone began to rotate farther north, he decided to hoof it, only having 2 shockwaves for rotation. But the universe would supply Booga with another opportunity, and using his win condition, he would now be 2 for 3 with the heavy sniper. Bam! Down goes Cease. However, as another stroke of bad luck would have it, another player was there to secure the loot. But Booga wasn't going down without a fight. He pushed that player, forcing him to leave, making him miss some wood and brick, and securing Booga's first refresh of the game. As Booga rotates into zone, he is far from out of the woods yet. But for truly the first time in this game, fate was on Booga's side. He hears the player under him get eliminated. As he jumps on that loot, he's able to secure another refresh, not only getting himself up to 70 builds, but he upgrades from a gray AK and a gray drum shotgun to a green AR and a purple combat shotgun. As Zone 4 continues to pull toward Loot Lake, he decides for the first time to use his utility item and shockwave towards zone. He makes it into Zone 4 with 22 builds, praying and hoping that he would pull half and half. For what I would consider the first time in the entire match, Booga would get a favorable zone. With 1 shockwave in hand and 21 builds, he knew he was going to have to do something. It was time for him to make what he would call, in his own words, a power play.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it worked. Check this out, chat. You're about to see a power play. I start getting up the mountain. I combat that kid. I'm like, 34 mats. I'm getting in. I got in on this kid. Killed him. Jumped in on this kid's box. I eliminated him.
Now, you aspiring Fortnite pros, I would normally never, ever advise a 50-50. But when you have what I guess is the biggest dick in all of competitive Fortnite, you can do whatever the frick you want. After another player was eliminated in the box right beside him, he would secure that refresh, and these 2 refreshes would have him absolutely chilling. Over 100 builds, 6 shockwaves, and he would drop his heavy sniper for shadow bombs. From here on out, the plan is simple. Util, rotate, catch, and eliminate shambles players. And he would execute this plan beautifully. Okay, as a side note, this stair flip from Booga, the epitome of zesty. Okay, now I get it. All of you little 13 and 14-year-old crackheads clipping me and putting me in your stupid little montages.
I killed this kid, bro.
Oh my god, I just clipped Matty Chonga.
Dang it, bro.
This to you probably doesn't look like anything at all, but you have to understand at this time in Fortnite's history, Tim the Tatman was like the average mechanical player.
Are you sure about that?
I die!
Heck, my boy was probably well above average, to be honest. And here he is, Booga, in what has to be the most laggy server of all time, finds this pick and then flips this stair with absolute attitude. Baller move. Okay, enough glaze, let's move on. After making some smart rotates, tunneling, finding good layers, using his utility, he picks up 3 more kills, 2 of which were on the notable eventual 16th place Clicks and eventual 2nd place fellow Unk Psalm. Shout out to all my fellow Unks out there, you the real ones. Booga has now found himself in 2nd place. With a blue pump in his inventory and a smile on his face, Booga would take fate into his own hands. He looked up at Creo on height and said, "It's me or you, buddy. Let's decide this now." I'll let Courage JD make the infamous call.
Booga can soar up into the sky. Go for it. Here it is. Shockwave died. Shots coming in. No elimination yet for the first game victory royale.
20 minutes earlier, Bugha found himself leaving Lucky Landing in complete shambles. But he would go on to demonstrate why, yes, he was the best player in Fortnite at this time. He was patient when he needed to be. He took risks when he needed to. And with pure skill and, yes, a little luck when he needed it, he overcame every obstacle and willed his way to a 1v1. And with a single shot from a blue pump, this 16-year-old kid from Pennsylvania cemented his place in the timeline of Fortnite competitive history. Heck, not just competitive Fortnite, but esports as a whole. Some 16-year-old kid winning $3 million from a singular Fortnite tournament was like the shot heard around the world for the gaming world. All of you 13 and 14-year-old crackheads whose parents are buying you PCs so that you can pursue your dream as a competitive gamer have really the Fortnite World Cup to thank. Bugha not only appeared on Good Morning America, but also appeared on shows like Jimmy Fallon. Like, you know it's a big deal when my railroader father, who despises video games, walks up to me and asks me about Bugha. Then proceeds to ask me if I can do the same, and the answer is lol dad, no, I suck. But this tournament, and yes, Bugha, would change the landscape of gaming and competitive gaming forever. So with all those circumstances in mind, when lights were the brightest and the stakes the highest, Bugha gave us legendary moment after legendary moment, and yes, finished it with a storybook ending. And that's why to me, Game 1 of the World Cup was the best Fortnite game played of all time. Thanks for watching. Okay, now as a side note, for all of you crackhead 12-year-olds who try to tell me that Courage JD threw this tournament for Bugha by telling him to shockwave the height because Bugha could hear it, therefore the tournament was rigged, I have to explain one thing to you, and that's the point format of this tournament. Now, there were 3 placement tiers that would give you points besides the win. Bugha had secured all 3 when he reached the top 5. The Victory Royale would give you 3 additional points, plus the elimination he got on Creo. Therefore, at best, if it was thrown, if Bugha heard Courage JD, he received 4 additional points. Why does that matter? Bugha would go on to end Game 6 and the tournament with 59 points. The closest player to him was second place Psalm at 33. Therefore, at best, he goes from 59 to 55, and he still clears second place by 22 points. Therefore, this is the stupidest argument. I know, I get it. Creo can be pissed because maybe you can make the argument he could have surpassed Epic Whale or Psalm and made himself hundreds of thousands of dollars more. But this has no bearing on Bugha getting first place. Game 1 was not only the best game played in Fortnite's history, I'm saying this was the best tournament played in Fortnite's history. So if you'd like to see me break down the rest of the World Cup, let me know.